Hello and welcome to Peak FM's transfer gossip videos. We're going to do a couple of these throughout the transfer window to try and keep you up to date with the rumours flying around that involve the Spireites. Well, it's been quite a busy couple of weeks in terms of transfer gossip, though it hasn't been so busy in terms of deals being done for Gary Caldwell's side. Gossip-wise, the big news yesterday was that 31-year-old striker Chris OGrady could be on his way to the Proact Stadium. He was released by Brighton and Hove Albion at the end of last season. He didn't play much for Brighton last season. He spent the final few months of his contract on loan at Burton Albion. It would be a real coup for Chesterfield if they can pull this one off. Despite having only scored 4 league goals since 2014, when he was formerly with Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest, before the two clubs previously mentioned, he would bring some vital experience to the Spireites front line. And to be honest, scoring goals isn't really Chris OGrady's game. He is a foil for his strike partner, and I actually think him and Kristian Dennis, or him and Gozi Ugwu, would work really well up front. So Chris OGrady is the latest rumour. It would be a sign of intent as well from Gary Caldwell and Guy Branston and Ashley Carson if they can pull this off. At 31 years of age, he is still good for at least a couple more seasons, you would have thought anyway, and he was playing Championship football last season. So Chris OGrady, the big name rumour that is flying about at the moment. Another one that we expect will be a deal that gets done is the Halifax Town midfielder Jordan Sinnott. He won promotion with the Shaman at the end of last season. He's just 23 years of age and he's out of contract, though because he is classed as a youth player, then Chesterfield would need to pay some sort of compensation to Halifax, though I'm sure that would be minimal. So it's a deal that could be done. Looking at his stats, he scored 7 goals in the league last season, formerly of Altrincham and Bury and Huddersfield Town. And having spoken to a journalist who covers Halifax Town, he rates him very highly, thinks he can make the step up to League 2 football, hopefully with a little bit more success than John Nolan, who struggled a little bit with injury throughout his first season in the Football League with Chesterfield last season. Elsewhere, a name that has been flying about social media is that of Jose Semedo. Hasn't played an awful lot in the past 2 seasons at Sheffield Wednesday. In fact, has been used in more of an ambassadorial role for the football club. He won't be offered a new contract though, and if he decides to start playing, you would think that it would be League 1 or League 2 where he ends up if he stays in England. Lots of fans interested and hopeful of seeing him come to the Proact Stadium, but this is just purely rumour at the moment and purely speculation on social media. In terms of confirmed news, well, Dan Gardner has gone to Oldham Athletic. The man signed by Paul Cook a few years ago has gone to join the former Chesterfield boss John Sheridan at Oldham, and he will remain in League 1 football. Interesting. Many Spireites supporters, particularly on our phone-in, quite happy to see Dan Gardner leaving the football club, but Gary Caldwell obviously rated him. He did get offered a new contract, but he's decided to leave the football club. In terms of a couple of other contracts that have been offered to players, Lawrence Maguire is still mulling over his deal, but we do expect him to sign a new contract at Chesterfield, and he will be partaking in pre-season when they start in just a couple of weeks' time now for Chesterfield. And Richie Humphries is still mulling over his contract offer. Of course, he has not quite yet officially announced his retirement from playing. He has been offered a role at Chesterfield, a coaching role with the Spireites, but still no confirmation whether Richie Humphries has decided to take that or not. A bit of other news to sort out, of course, Donnell McDermott's transfer, or what wasn't a transfer in the end. Turned out to be a little bit of a mess. The club thought it would have been done and dusted on the Friday. That's last Friday. Donnell McDermott then came down to meet Gary Caldwell, had a couple of second thoughts about the offer. And my understanding is that Gary Caldwell wasn't too happy with the player after meeting him, and mutually they just let the deal run out. So Donnell McDermott, a former Spireite, will not be on his way to the Proact Stadium, but I understand that was quite a big wage offer for Donnell McDermott, and of course that means the money can be spent elsewhere. Guy Branston and Gary Caldwell and Steve Eyre still working very hard to bolster the squad. Finally, we should talk about Kristian Dennis, because in the past 5 or so days there's been rumours of Burton Albion being interested in the striker who scored 10 goals last season. That was, of course, his first season in professional football. Speaking to colleagues who cover Burton, I understand that that isn't the case. There may have been some interest in Kristian Dennis from elsewhere, but it doesn't look as if it's come from Nigel Clough's side. So Chesterfield very keen to keep hold of Kristian Dennis. They see him as one of the men to lead the line in League Two, and I hope he stays, because I think he will score quite a few in League Two. I think he'd have done better in League One, quite honestly, if Chesterfield had have created more chances for him. But as you probably know as well as me, that wasn't the case in the end, and Chesterfield struggled to score goals all season. Of course, we'll keep you up to date with any ins and outs on peakfm.co.uk. Listen to the radio station on 107.4 FM, the home of Chesterfield, the home of the Spireites. We're also going to be bringing you live commentary of every Chesterfield game, of course, in the new season. Just a couple of months to go now. I can't wait. Thanks for watching. There'll be more videos on the way in the next few weeks.